25th of January, Rabbi Furst, Mishna Berura.
Okay, good morning again. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here. Our second share in Mishnah Berura. We're learning Siman Kuf Nun Ches. We are currently in Sif Love. I think we might have done Sif Love. Yeah.
I think we got up to Zion. No?
Right, that's right. Correct. We're in Zion now.
Excuse me.
Okay. Mayor, would you like to read, please?
Okay, so let's see, Zion. Natalia Dav L'davar she tibulo b'mashkeh achar kach rotze le'echol alechem. I'm sorry. Okay, so what he washes his hands for something that is dipped in a liquid, I guess, but afterwards he wants bread. Oh, lechem. Yesh mi she nir'eh udvarav she'eno ta netila ola lo. So what? So it appears to me that his words
So
the netila was not for the bread, I guess, not for it.
Yesh mi shenira midivor. There is one who appears from his words. There is one that it appears from his words. She'ein osoi netila ololo. That netila that he washed for the fruits. Let's say was having apples, slices of apple, and he's eating them with his hands, and they were washed, so the apples are sliced apples are wet, so therefore he's obligated to wash for the fruit that's wet, but he washes, but again, without a bracha. And now, in the middle of his eating the apples, he decides, well, we'd like to change our minds and now wash for a motzi as well, right? So in such a case like that, the Mechaber says, Yesh mishenirin midavor. There is one who it appears to be based on his words. Sheina osa netila ololo. That first washing for the fruits will not oilolo, will not be counted, will not serve for the purposes of washing for the hamotzi. This is going to be a general rule. When you're washing your hands, you usually have to have kavana, intention, what you're washing your hands for, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're washing your hands for mincha, so you're washing your hands for mincha, even though you may wash exactly like you, let's say, for example, most people probably don't do this, but let's say he's washing his hands to daven mincha, and he washes his hands exactly the way he would wash for hamotzi, right? And then after mincha, he decides, well, I'm hungry, I'm going to wash for hamotzi. The washing that he did for the mincha prayers is not going to help him for the key of obligation that he needs to wash for bread. Here, likewise, also, that the person started eating wet fruit and he washed his hands properly. So technically speaking, his hands are absolutely perfect for not only eating the wet fruit, but also for eating bread. But since he did not have intention when he washed his hands for the fruit, that it should include his bread also, the washing they did for the fruit it will not serve him,
right,
that he has fulfilled his obligation for washing for the bread.
Right. So, but even if he had intent, he should have probably washed for the bread first anyway. Over the
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's all. That's an old shaila. If a person's going to have, let's say, fruit for an appetizer, right? and have
Right.
for an appetizer. And he knows he's going to wash. So what do? You eat the fruit first as an appetite, and then you wash, or should you wash and include the fruit in your meal? And the question would then be, do you make an eights on the fruit or not? That'll be, it gets a little bit complicated from both angles,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
right? On one hand, you're really not supposed to eat food before hamotzi if you know you're going to wash for hamotzi, because you just want to just make the hamotzi first and include everything in your eating of the meal, right? And you maybe wouldn't make brachas that are not brachas ain't tzricha. On the other hand, sometimes it doesn't help if you've washed hamotzi. Sometimes you have to make a separate bracha, let's say on an eitzah, like a banana, for example. Very rarely would I ever imagine that a person eats a banana within the context of a meal.
Right. Right.
Right? You eat a banana, so it may come as dessert. You may decide after you've had your Shabbos morning meal, your children and everything else, you bring out bananas and everyone sits around and eats bananas. But normally bananas are not eaten within the context of a meal. So it could be very likely that a banana, if it's eaten within a meal, you'd have to make a separate bracha adam on it, because it's not coming and related to the eating of the meal. Some things are related to the meal, meaning you're eating meat, fish, cheese, other things like that, vegetables. Those things are usually eaten within the context of a meal. So the bread patters, the hamotzi, you make that bracha on hamotzi, that patters all the other foods you're eating within the context of the meal. But things which are not usually eaten within the context of the meal, it won't help you.
Uh-huh.
So here, this person we're talking about, he went ahead and he was eating, like, for example, wet apple slices. And then he
Okay.
decides as well, it's nice, I'm going to get myself into a meal now, and he's going to decide now to wash. So what does he do? He washed his hands properly, technically speaking, for fruits, and that should, technically speaking, be enough to exempt him from having to wash again. But we see from the Mechaber, right, it says, Eina oilo, it doesn't benefit him, that first washing.
Right. Okay. 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 So ve'ein tzarich lomar im nata yadav shelo le'echol v'achar kach nimlach
Ve'echol.
ve'achal.
Right. And ve'ein tzarich lomar, you don't even have to say a case where he washed his hands in order not to eat anything, and afterwards he decides to eat.
Oh.
I'm not sure if that's talking about eating bread or eating in general. We'll have to see how the Mishna explains what this halakha is talking about.
Oh. Yeah, but even based on even if what we just said, if he just generically washed his hands without a specific purpose, probably doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that. Yeah, that's in general. That's
Yeah.
true.
Okay, very good. Should we do the Haggah too, or?
Let's see. Yeah, let's read the Haggah in the meantime.
Okay, so let's see. The Haggah says, V'yimlo hisiach dato yitol below bracha. So what if his mind wasn't distracted? He should
Yeah,
say,
right. V'im lo siek daito. He didn't take in this case, it means he didn't lose concentration on keeping his hands from getting dirty or impure. This is the context of siek daito. Siek daito is to lose concentration. So here he wasn't siek daito. He didn't lose concentration for keeping his hands clean and pure.
oh, okay. Clean and pure. Oh, okay. Okay, Yitol, okay, below, okay, so what, Yitol, what, he washes without a bracha, below bracha, im naga be'achilato bimkomot ha-mitunafot begufo yaksor v'yitol yadav. Okay, so what if he naga comes to eat and is eating?
Right, so
In a,
if while he's eating, he's touching places of his body which are two nuffers. Basically, that we'll see these halachas in detail later on, but that's basically any part of your body that's normally covered over with clothes, right? So a person in the middle
okay.
in the middle of his eating, if a person will scratch his chest, he'll scratch his head. If he'll sometimes if a person has to use the facilities, and he might touch his thighs or his all
Right.
these places
Yeah.
where you're normally having your clothes covering them, that's going to cause you to go back and wash again. Now, as to whether or not you have to make another bracha or not, that's not being discussed over here yet. Maybe the Mishnah will touch on that point, but in general, many times when you have to wash, it's enough that you wash, but because of sfekis, doubts in terms of the actual obligation, you probably many times will not need to make a new bracha. But wash again, you will have to.
Okay. So even if, for example, you use the facilities and say Asher Yatzar, you
Right.
still wouldn't have to go back and wash your hands again to eat, continue eating, let's say.
That as long it depends if you touched anything that was normally covered up or not.
Ah,
Person
ah,
kept his person kept his hands clean, untouching without touching anything that's normally covered up, then he probably would not have to
ah,
wash
okay.
again.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. Good. Okay, so let me see. Vav Zion Kaf Chet, it looks like. Okay. So Kaf Chet says, Yesh me. What did we say that was? Yesh me Kaf Chet. One sec. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yesh mi shenivra midvarav. Okay, so it appears to me that, okay, from his words, he doesn't do Natila. Okay. So let's go on. Hainu, Ladat Miktsat Haposkim, Shezacharti Lael Be'od Kav, Sivira Lahu De'ein Chiyuv Natilat Natila Litibulo B'mashkeh Bizman Hazeh. Okay, so what's Hainu Ladat?
Right. Hainu, meaning
Oh,
this
it's the
opinion
opinion.
is according to some of the poskim, Shinizkarti La'el that I mentioned in Oschav,
Mhm.
Sphere Lehem, that they are of the opinion, the Ain Chiyav Netila Betibulu Mashke Bismanazad, that there's no obligation whatsoever in our times for dipping in liquids.
Uh-huh. So yeah, I can't even remember it because it's coming so close again. When we do the Seder, don't we wash our hands either before or after the dipping of the parsley in the salt water?
Right. That's right.
So
So this is exactly the point. The point is there are the halacha is, as we learned in the Shulchan Aruch in general, you are supposed to wash your hands for dipping in vegetables and fruits in liquids, right? But there are some that say that you're not obligated to do.
Uh-huh. I hear. Okay, very good.
What we do on the night of Pesach is we're doing according to the halakha that we're learning here, that according to the majority opinion, that in fact you are supposed to wash for it.
Oh, okay, very good. Oh, yeah, this is a minority opinion. Okay.
Right.
Okay, v'lachein eino yotze netila zo lachilat pot. Okay, so you're not yotze in this dipping for eating bread. Delo natal l'shem netila hamichuyevet. What that he doesn't dip. Not sure michuyevet required. Oh, for
Yeah, right. We're obligated, require obligated, exactly.
obligated. Okay, good.
Right. So therefore, l'chein eina yotze b'netila zu l'achilas pasta lo notel l'shem netila mechuyeves. That's the point. See, even though, right, you washed your hands technically exactly the way you would wash for hamotzi, but nevertheless, since you're not obligated in the same way, the level of obligation for washing for the fruits and vegetables that are wet is not the same level of obligation you're obligated to do if you're washing for a motzi. So therefore, that level of obligation cannot fulfill the requirement you have to do to wash for a motzi. Therefore, you have to wash all over again.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, so kaf tet is shelo lechol, that even if that he's not eating. Kigon hayu yadav milu lachot unatalan. Okay, so if his hands are dirty and he washes them, below hayabidato lechol, but then he has no intention of eating anything, I guess. V'nimlach le'echol v'lo hisiak dato b'intayim. What v'nimlach le'echol, and he decides to eat.
Oh, meaning when he originally washed his hands, right? He did it without any intention to eat kagon, as Mishna says. His hands were dirty, simply dirty. And he washed his hands. And he didn't have any intention to eat it at all. He just wanted to wash his hands. They were dirty. Let's see, he was changing the filter in the fish tank. So he's not gonna, he's got this fish tank water all over his hands, right?
Right.
So he's not exactly interested in keeping all that fish tank water on his hands. So he washes his hands to get his hands clean. But he had no intention whatsoever to wash.
Below he siak that tobe time, and in the meantime he didn't change his mind, his opinion, I guess. Bezeh kol shechein the ein netila rishona ola lo. So with this, nevertheless, he doesn't have to do it.
Even more so, kol shechein, even more so, this first washing that he did simply for the sake of getting his hands clean will not benefit him. Eina oilo will not benefit him for the washing he has to do for the hamotzi.
Oh, okay. The lo haita l'shem kedusha klal. Okay, for this wasn't for a holy purpose, I guess. This is
right. It wasn't sanctifying his hands at all when he did that.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Let's see, Lamed. Ve'im lo yisiak dato. Okay. And if his mind wasn't distracted, I guess. Ka'e al-kol ha'sa'if. I'm not sure what that means.
That again, his he never changing his mind, boy, I'll call this it. What this statement is going on both. We had two cases. One case he washed his hands for fruits that were
Mhm.
wet. In the second case, he washed his hands not to eat it all. He simply washed them for the sake of the fact that they were dirty. So this
Right.
statement now is going on both of those
Oh,
cases.
okay. 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 So Lamed Aleph, Lo Hisiach Dato, he wasn't distracted. The Im Hisiach Dato, Mish Martan. What if he is distracted from his Mishmar Tom guarding it?
Right. He would that's right. Guarding his hands that they should remain clean and pure.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. The Kulei Alma, Tzarikli Tol Shenit Uvracha. But in general, one must wash his hands again and say a bracha. The Oz Ain, the Tilari Shono La Lo Klal. Okay, for the first washing didn't satisfy this at all.
Right. That first washing that he did, either for fruits that are wet or for simply cleaning his hands, that even that's not going to benefit him whatsoever. That once lost his concentration on this, according to everyone, you have to wash hands again with a bracha.
Uh-huh. Okay. Let's see. Lamed Bet, the low bracha, without a bracha. Become a post kim sevira lehu the nitilat yadayim lechulin. Okay, so there are several poskim who have the opinion, I guess, that nitilat yadayim for chulin, what, for secular things?
Right, that's right. That for mundane purposes, right?
Oh, mundane purposes. Oh, okay. Afim lo kivan l'shem netila yatsa. But if it wasn't kivan l'shem, but it was for what? Since it's for Hashem l'shem netila, he's
They,
yotze.
well, that he should wash, but he without a bracha. The comment,
Right.
why without a bracha? Why should he wash but without a bracha? I mean, right now he's washing for chiyuv that he really wants to wash for a motzi. Why the kama poskim the chulin, that the washing of your hands for chulin, mundane purposes, afim lo kivin l'shem l'tila yotzi, even if he wasn't thinking about washing his hands in a halakhic sense, he
Mhm.
would still be yosef as long im lo
Oh,
as long as he didn't take his mind off his hands and he decided he's going to watch them, that they should remain clean.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, Umavoar Divrehem Beveit Yosef Siman Kuf Nun Tet V'Shulchan Aruch. Okay, Sham Seif Yud Gimel. So these Ain Sham, look there. So these are other sources to look for more information, I guess.
Right.
V'Imkeni Tol Below Bracha. And if one washes without the bracha, Shema Yatza Minitila Harishonah. Perhaps he's Yotze with the first washing. Oh,
Correct.
okay. V'al netila rishona lo shayik levarech af de nimlach le'echol samuk mamash lehanetila kevan shelo hayta l'shem netila. And that's the acronym. So let's see. And for the first, let's see, blessing. he wasn't obligated to say the blessing. The afnim lach lechol. But he wanted to continue eating, or he wanted to eat. Samuk mamash means tila. So some support the.
Nimlach is to change his mind to eat.
Oh,
Nimlach is your mind to eat.
okay.
Samek mamish l'ndatil. Let's say like almost immediately after he washed, he said, "Oh, I'm going to eat now." What are you going to do about a case like that?
Okay. Kevan shelo haita l'shem netila. Since he wasn't doing the
He didn't intend. Since he didn't intend
to do netila.
Right.
Okay. I know it's 10:30, but there's one little one here. So we can
Yeah, let's finish one more little one.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
Imnaga, if he's able, responsible.
Right. So if he touched his hands to someplace which is metunaf, and even though he's only washing for fruits and vegetables that are wet, but if he touched his hands in a place to get it dirty again, he's going to have to go back and rewash again.
Okay. And that's what then that's according also with the explanation of the gra too, I guess.
Yeah, we came Meforsh, the Chain Chofmem, the Chain Meforsh would be a gra. So
Okay, very good. Shkayak, thank you so much.
very good. Thank you. Hashem, everyone have a good day. Again, tomorrow I think let's probably say there won't be a shir tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't make it anyway because I have to prepare.
Yeah, Yom Rishon, the beginning of the week, I'm a little bit doubtful if there'll be a shir, but I'll try and inform you, Blinader.
Okay, very good.
All right, have a good Shabbos.
Thank you too.
Good Shabbos and a good Tu B'Shvat. Enjoy
That's
your
right.
fruit.
Thank you. That's right. Thank you, Mayor. You too, everybody. You as well.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.